Welcome back. In the last video we learned how to make and pattern a puppet head from foam like this. In this video we're going to talk about mouth plate grips that are inside the puppet to help you hold on to it while you perform. Now there are a ton of different ways to do this, but I'm going to show you a couple techniques that I use. If you do something different, let me know in the comments down below. Today we're going to talk about 3 different types of grips that I use. First one is using elastic bands, second is making a grip out of foam, and the last one is what I call a head plug. Now the design of the puppet might determine which type of grip you have to do. So the first one is the elastic band. The nice thing about the elastic band is it has individual holes for each of your fingers, so that when you slide them inside of the puppet, it sticks on really well. And also the elastic makes it so it can fit different sized fingers. I know people who do a similar thing with leather, but the leather is a little less forgiving. I've had a lot of success with these. So when both pieces are on, and imagine the rest of the puppet around this, it's on there pretty good, and it's not gonna slide off very easily. Now the way I make most of my mouth plates is with plastic containers from storage bins. They're really sturdy and they last a lot longer than something like cardboard, which just breaks down really quickly over time. But the storage bin plastic is really only good for mouth plates that are probably at widest about 5 inches. Anything larger will need a little bit more support. For larger puppets, I use a thin piece of wood. So to make this type of grip, you'll need the plastic and you'll also need an elastic band. The type that I use is 2 inches wide, and it's pretty straightforward. You put your fingers on about where you need them. You can use a Sharpie to just draw in between your fingers. And then I have to make drill holes. I would recommend making at least 4. And then you can drill them out. So we just got done drilling those holes. I did about 4 rows, but you notice they're all at about the same height. So none of them go over that 2-inch depth. Start off by putting the edge of the elastic flush with the edge of the mouth plate. Next, sew this first row through the holes that you drilled right into the elastic. And go back and forth at least twice. So I just sewed that first one. Make sure you do not cut or knot this thread. It's best to try to leave this as one long piece sewn all the way through. Next, I'm gonna measure by wrapping it around my finger like that, and now I know about how wide to leave it to sew the next hole. Jump over under the mouth just like that. Finally knot it, and then you can trim the edges. And there we have it, another elastic band mouth plate for the top of your hand. So again, for the bottom half of the hand, you do the same thing. You just measure up your thumb, put the lines on both sides of your thumb, measure the elastic, and drill and stitch it down. Now there's a couple benefits to using this type of grip. One is it's kind of one size fits all. The elastic can form around different sized hands, and it's really snug. Using this type of mouth plate allows you to keep the head hollow so that you can fill it with mechanisms if you need to. For example, the Phil DeFranco puppet that I posted yesterday, he needed to have a hollow head so I could fit the mechanisms in. The only catch to using the elastic band is you do have to do this technique before you put the mouth plate in the puppet. However, the foam mouth plate you can do afterward, and it works pretty much the same way. I'll show you how I make this too. Start off with a piece of foam and trace the mouth plate. And cut it out. Measure your hand in about the middle and mark it on both sides. Next, take 2 little scraps of foam and you're going to glue them on both sides like that. Once the contact cement is dry, you can stick them on. And then trim around the edges. So once you've completed this, you put glue on both of these raised levels here, and in the same sides on the inside of the mouth plate, let it get tacky, and then you can press it in. And let it dry for a while before you start using it. So without that foam covering it up, it looks just like this, glued inside. So you have a nice little step in there for your hand to go. Then you have a pretty nice little mouth grip too. The last technique I'm going to show you is the head plug. Now the head plug is pretty much what it sounds like. I take a circular piece of foam and cap off the inside of the head, and then I stuff the rest of the head with fiber fill. Let me show you how it's done. For the head plug, I like to use a 1-inch thick piece with a medium firmness. To get the approximate size, I cut out a piece the size of the mouth plate. There's a good chance that this will end up being too big, but I can always trim it down. So now let's test it. I fit it in, and it looks like I gotta trim. Looks like I gotta trim a bit of it. And I'll mark the front. Okay, let's try this. It fits in pretty nicely. Now I'm not gonna glue it in yet. Now that this is the right size, I wanna cover it with some lining. That'll keep this foam from breaking down and also make it a little bit more comfortable because this foam can be a little scratchy on the back of your hand. I'm gonna use some Super 77 to spray the top of the head plug. And I'll also spray a large piece of fabric. Then I'll take the head plug and put it right in the middle, like that, and then glue the edges too. Once it gets tacky, fold the edges up all the way around it. And then trim the edges with an old pair of scissors so you don't mind getting gummed up by the glue. And there we have it, our head plug is complete. Now let's put it in. For this I'm going to use the contact cement. Make sure you are in a well-ventilated area when doing this. Start off by gluing the edge all the way around. And then you have to put glue on the inside of the puppet all the way around the inside of the circumference. It's a little tricky, but make sure you get good coverage. And then let it sit for about 5 minutes to get tacky. Alright, now it's ready to be put together. Make sure you put it in the right way. You want the fabric side facing down. So what I do is I kind of curve it like this so I can fit it in. And make sure you line up that center line with the front of the puppet. Like that. And then you just gotta work it in. Okay, the head plug is in there nice and firmly. Now let's stuff the head. I do that by taking scissors and making a little slit in the top of the head. And then I take fiber fill and start to stuff the head. The plug keeps it from falling through out of the mouth or the bottom of the neck. When you're satisfied with how stuffed it is, then glue up that slit. After it's dry, you can go ahead and pinch it together. So if you don't need the head to be hollow, this is my favorite way to do a mouth plate grip. Stuffing the head gives the puppet a little bit more form too. So now that we have our grips, in the next video we're gonna make the fleece head cover and the neck piece that fits to it. After that we're gonna be doing the long-awaited body video. So hold tight, we're almost there. Also, I have to say I've been really enjoying some of the comments down below. I see a lot of people giving ideas and helping each other out. That's what this is all about. In all these videos I've been showing you simple versions of the techniques that I use. If you do something different, I wanna hear about it. And also, if you make any creations based off of these videos, I wanna see them. Tag me in the pictures. That's it for now. See you next time.